Hey guys, those of you who know my channel know how much I love Kari Voutilainen. I've reviewed a lot of them, including recently a piece in my personal collection, the Tantalor Decimal Repeater, that may be $1 million watch, so my money is where my mouth is. But what happens when maybe the best watchmaker of our generation is at his peak, firing on all cylinders, making just really one of the most incredible watches that I've ever seen. I can't wait to bring it to you. This is the Platinum 217 QRS Retrograde Minute. It's like nothing you've ever seen in terms of the dial, the movement, the complication. It's got it all. I want to show it to you. Stay tuned. Here it comes. Let's just start out by acknowledging that this is one of the absolute most beautiful watches that I've ever had in my hands. This dial combination is just stunningly, stunningly beautiful. You know, Kari's become known for his amazing engine turning work, but that doesn't mean that the decisions made are always perfect. You know, there's all sorts of different ways to combine engine turning patterns and colors and proportions and layouts. And yes, they're almost all nice, but this one is like particularly incredibly beautiful. We have multiple engine turning patterns here that, instead of becoming too busy, really serve to create complexity with the dial, broken up by this absolutely perfect blue color that goes really nicely with the blue hands themselves, and then these awesome, really tall applied Roman numerals. In my mind, the whole thing comes together to create really one of the most incredible dials that I've ever seen. And you know, one of the great things about it is it's completely tastefully done. This is the type of watch that you can stare at it for hours, and every time you look down at it will give you amazing pleasure, but also it's not too flashy. You know, it's not gonna catch somebody's eye necessarily from across the room. At the end of the day, it's just sort of a silvery gray dial with a little bit of blue on it. So it really threads the needle to me between something that is interesting but also not over the top. I just have to show you this while we're here. Look how cool it is that Kari's open hand, the hour hand, passes right over the Voutilanen name. Little things like that are just so awesome. I love them. Okay, let's dig into this watch, right? Now you saw right there the main new feature about this watch, and that is that it has a retrograde date. You saw it click over when I went through midnight there. The date is really, really cool, and I will show it to you in action very soon, but let's talk about some of the other aspects that are new here. This watch has an entirely new case for Kari Voutilainen. Normally he uses teardrop lugs, but in this case, it's sort of a modified version of a horn lug. Also, the case band, middle, and the bezel are both concave. Now, Kari bezels are usually convex, and it gives a totally different look to the watch. It really makes it very sleek, really adds a little bit of interestingness to the case shape in general, and I think really makes this watch unique among the Kari line. This particular version is in platinum. It's a limited edition of 10 pieces. And one of the really cool things about this retrograde date mechanism is that it's actually integrated into the movement. So the easy thing would be to take a von Wheat movement and just add a date module. But Kari actually built a completely new caliber with this integrated retrograde date movement, which is pretty awesome. But of course, still has this incredibly, incredibly beautiful Kari Voutilainen signature finish. In this case, the base plate has been kind of ruthenium coated over top of these beautiful Geneva stripes, and you can just see the finish from a mile away. You know, you don't have to be an expert to know that this is about as good as it gets. Of course, these calibers feature this giant balance wheel that's about half the size of the entire watch, and I believe he calls it the dual direct escapement. It's this double escape mechanism. The finish has mixtures of these black polishes, the Geneva stripes, this kind of perfect bezeled edge, and lots of these amazingly chamfered interior angles. Look at the finish on the barrel cover itself and the screw and how it plays with the light. It's just really, really tip-top notch stuff. So we flip it back over. There's a couple cool things about this date. The first is that to change the date, you don't pull the crown out one notch, you actually push the crown in. That's pretty interesting, having its own separate hidden pusher corrector there. Much nicer, I think, than Lange's pusher corrector up here. You wouldn't know it if you didn't know it. But what's really cool is the way the retrograde mechanism actually works. One of the issues with retrogrades is that they fly back with a lot of power and it can actually break things. So Kari came up with an amazing solution, which is to use an actual multi-gear system to slow down the rate at which the date comes back, and to watch it go is really poetry in motion. It's one of the coolest things you'll ever see on a mechanical watch. It basically looks impossible, and yet there it goes, right in front of your eyes. Ready for the magic? 29, 30, 31. Boom. How cool is that? Let me show it to you on the wrist. The watch is 39 millimeters, platinum, but sleek. It's not heavy, but you can feel it. It feels perfect. The way the lugs hug, the proportions of the case, the way that the whole thing plays with the light. It's like, man, this could actually be a perfect watch. How does a watch get any better than this? I really don't know. Sure, I guess you could add a decimal repeater to it, but they can't all be $1 million Kari Voutilainens, right? So I love it. For what this is, I really think it's spectacular. It could be worn as a daily wearer. It can be dressy. It can wear with jeans and a t-shirt. It's the perfect size, the perfect thickness, this incredible dial, a really useful and cool complication, the beautiful movement. I just don't know what more you could want out of a watch. Goes to show you, Kari is just the best. Everything he makes I fall in love with, but this one is particularly nice. I'm glad that I got to share it with you guys. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Please subscribe if you did. Share it with all your watch buddy friends. Let's get more people into independent watches, and I'll be back soon with some more cool stuff.